What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Bally, and back with another episode of the Sports Pod. Today is part 6 of the 82-part series where I will be recapping every single Knicks game from this regular season. And a couple nights ago, they squared off with the Milwaukee Bucks. Either the best or second best team in the East. I'm still debating whether the Celtics are better or the Bucks are better. I think the Bucks have more talent on their roster in Giannis and Dame, but the Celtics have more volume with Tatum and Brown, obviously. But then you have Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White, and they're both really good teams. Right now, the Celtics have a better record at 5-0, and the Bucks are right behind them at 3-2. And this one, the Bucks added to that win total. Unfortunately, the Knicks dropped to 2-4 with the loss, and I'm not too mad at that loss. I already said that the Bucks are a very good team, and I think that they're either best or second best in the league, maybe third best with the Nuggets, but they're really good. And for the Knicks to only lose by 5 points without one of their best players in RJ Barrett, and with Julius Randle only scoring 6 points, I will take that any day of the week. They showed so much fight. Brunson is very much so back, I think. He's been kind of getting back, but he dropped 45 in this one, and he was just trying to will this team to victory every second of the game, and he just couldn't do it. Giannis and the Bucks were too much to handle, and I think everybody expected that going into the game. The Knicks were going to have to play an absolutely perfect game. Randall was going to have to play well, which he didn't. Brunson was going to have to play well, which he did. And Quentin Grimes, he started off 3 for 3 from range. And then after that, he went 2 for 8, 2 for 7, which isn't good. But if he can continue that level of shooting, he finished 5 for 10, which is 50%. And if he can do that every game, I'm happy with that. He played pretty good defense on Dame up until the end. Dame finished with 30 points in this one. But Dame is going to get his buckets, similar to Donovan Mitchell, one of the top players in the league, and one of the best players to do it all time. He's probably top 50 all time, I would say, in that kind of range. I would have to look at it more to determine his overall standing, but I would say top 50 all time right now for Dame. But the Knicks aren't going to win games if Randall doesn't wake up. And if he doesn't wake up tonight and they drop to 2-5, then things are going to start to get really bad for the Knicks. And they're going to get really bad quick. New York is arguably the biggest market in all the country. The only one it might be behind is LA. And these fans, they care so much. I mean, me included, I care about basketball so much. I care about the Knicks. I want them to win. I want the Knicks to win a championship, and I want it to happen fast because I think they have a lot of talent on their roster right now in Brunson and in Randall and them. And I think this is the most talent they've had on a team in my lifetime. They've had the Carmelo Anthony teams, but I don't remember those teams. I was too young to remember that. Kristaps Porzingis, I remember a little bit, and I remember watching those games, but I was never as invested as I am right now. I think Jalen Brunson is a legitimate star in the making, and I can see him staying in New York for a long time to come. He's on a 4-year deal right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he extends that at the end of the deal. or even in this offseason or next season. I think he'll stay in New York for a while. He seemed to like it. And his dad's an assistant coach on the team. So we'll see what happens. And who knows? His dad could be fired by the Knicks if the Knicks fire a lot of people because they underperform. But I'm hoping that's not the case, and I'm hoping that Rick and Jalen Brunson stay with the Knicks for many, many years to come. I already mentioned Julius Randle's struggles. He only had 6 points in this one, and now he has the worst field goal percentage since 1957, from anyone since 1957. He's sitting at 27.1 right now. And this is terrible. 1957 was, let's see, almost 80 years ago at this point. And for Randall to be putting up this numbers, that's really bad. And he really has to snap out of it very quickly, or else the season could slip away. But the bright spot, and who is picking up Randall's slack, RJ Barrett. He's been averaging the most on the team to this point. And missing him these past 2 games has really hurt. And they lost both games. And they were both close games that I think we could have won if we had Randall in the lineup. In this one, the Knicks had nobody to lock up Chris Middleton. And Barrett's been defending very well, I would say. And for him, I think it would definitely be possible to lock up Chris Middleton. And I think that if the Knicks had Barrett, Middleton, who had only 12 points, would have maybe 8 or 9. So you take 3 or 4 points off. That's a 1-point game. And you think Randall's going to score at least 15 points. The Knicks win this game if Barrett plays. And then you look even at the last game against the Cavs. They lost by 6 points, and Barrett didn't play. Now, I don't know. I think Barrett would have been able to lock up Isaac Okoro, who only did have 2 points. But if you take away those 2 points, it's a 4-point game. And Barrett's gonna give you more than 4 points. And then even the guys off the bench who have been performing, and I'm not mad at them, but I think they've got to be better. It just hasn't seemed like the bench doesn't have the continuity that they had last year, and this team doesn't in general. The starters don't either. This team was ranked number 1 in continuity according to NBA.com preseason, and it hasn't really looked like it. Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson, 2 of the Nova Knicks, had one really nice play where Josh Hart drove in, he went up, and then no look passed it out to the corner for Brunson, who I think made a 3. He might have driven in and got a bucket also. But it's just Dante hasn't been shooting extremely well, and it's hurting because these guys, all of them have to be performing to win a game like this. DiVincenzo's, he's shooting 35.7%, but his main thing is he's a 3 and D guy, and he's provided the D, but the 3, it's been falling, but I would like it to fall a little bit more. With Quickly, he had 14 in this game, and he's shooting. Let's see. Quickly shooting 32% from 3, so even worse than DiVincenzo. But DiVincenzo doesn't score at all. Like, Quickly's had a 22-point game this season. He had 14 in this one. DiVincenzo had 3 in this one. DiVincenzo didn't score in his first game. So it really depends on like on who's shooting what night. Like the other day, the Knicks bench had 21 points and quickly had 14 of them. And I talked about this being a bench that is going to extend leads. And if you're only scoring 14 points, that is not going to happen compared to the Bucks, who scored 30 plus points on their bench. You're getting outscored by double. You're not going to win, especially when your main defender is not performing like he's supposed to be. And Julius Randle, who only had 6 points in this one, didn't even get into double figures. But Brunson carried, and Brunson made this a game, and it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch Brunson get back to what he was last year, and continue to get back to it after a rough first 2 games. But I think another reason they lost this game. So we've had Randall, Barrett, and the bench so far are the reasons that they've lost. The fourth reason is that they don't know how to perform late in games. Like, they had a defensive possession with 38 seconds left, where it's a missed shot. All right, that's going to happen. I think they're down 4 points at this point. Everybody else except Randall sprints back on defense like you're supposed to. Randall's jogging back. He's guarding Giannis at this point, who isn't running back either, because he knows he's not going to take the shot. But if you can have an extra man on defense, that takes away, that helps you so much. And if Randall did that and he was on the block where he should have been, that Dame and one probably wouldn't have happened. And then another thing from that play, so it's a 4-on-4. The Bucks are in their set. Grimes is facing away from Dame. Dame cuts back door. He gets a pass, easy and one layup. Now the Knicks are down. What if they were down 7 points? And that kind of stuff just can't happen late in games. And then another play, the Jalen Brunson inbounds the ball to Josh Hart. Josh Hart gives him a handoff and a screen. No one's moving. Everyone's standing around, and Jalen Brunson is forced to ISO when that is just not his game. He is somebody who he's gonna get his buckets, but he's not gonna rely on other people. But he's not gonna go out and be a player who ISOs every game, and that's how he gets his points. He's gonna let the game come to him and score his points how they're supposed to be scored, and how the Knicks offense is set up to score the points. Like, they're not a team that's going to succeed by dribbling and ISOing every single possession. And that's where I think they went wrong, not in this game, but in the second game against the Cavs, where they lost it at home. Like, in the first game, they were spreading the rock around, and everything was flowing well. But in this one, they were just, it was stagnant. And I want to talk a little bit more about Quentin Grimes, because I already mentioned his 3-point shooting in this one. But that comes in waves for him, and that is something I wanted him to improve on this season, and he has not shown me yet. Him not being as streaky of a shooter and being more consistent when he's throwing up shots. Because he got hot early here. He started off 3 for 3, as I said, and then he hits his third one. He gets a rebound. He comes down the court. He pulls up from maybe 5 feet behind the 3-point line and slings it. And he's falling forward. And it's just not a good shot. They say shooters shoot. And Grimes is a shooter. But he's not Klay Thompson, who could shoot everything and make it when he's hot. He's got to stay within reason. And that might have been why he only finished at 50% after starting at 100%, because he just started taking some bad shots, which it's not the best, and and I don't expect it to happen again, but it could have cost them the game, maybe, and that's just not, it's not okay. Especially when you're playing such a good team as the Bucks. Now these next two games against the Spurs and Hornets, as long as Wemby doesn't go crazy, or as long as Brunson, Randall, or Barrett can score a lot of points, or all three of them, they should be good. And then against the Hornets, I think that's going to be an easy win. I don't think the Hornets are that great of a team. But this game that they're playing in as I speak against the Clippers, I haven't watched any of it yet. I think the Knicks could pull this one off. They're playing against Harden, who is in his first game with the Clippers. I don't think Harden's that great of a player. I think Grimes will be able to lock him up, and Russell Westbrook should be able to, Brunson should be able to contain him. I'm worried about what Randall's going to do with Kawhi guarding him, right? Because Kawhi is an all-NBA defender, and Randall, who's looking to get off the mat and get more buckets, might not be as possible with such a good defender on him. And a lot of it is just shot selection. Like, he's chucking up these bad shots, fading away with two defenders in his face. And after the first two games where I thought he dished the ball out well and defended well, he hasn't done that since the Pelicans game. And I don't know what's going on with him, but it's got to change now. So I think the Knicks, but I do think the Knicks have a chance of pulling it off against the Clippers. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm your host, Ben Ballion, and this was the Sports Pod.